antibiotics. Antibiotics will crush the probiotics or the healthy bacteria that lives in our gut. And we've been so conditioned. And yes, penicillin did change it positively. Unfortunately, our society has gone to the other extreme where now we're taking antibiotics for everything.
Athletes, entrepreneurs, and those who've embraced the necessary change for the better. They've endured, discovered, rebuilt. But what about you? Are you waiting for life? Or is life waiting for you? This is the Come Up.
What's up, guys? Octavio here with the Come Up, and today I have an interesting one. We have my good friend Brian Pla from Gentera Medical. What's up, Brian?
How you doing, buddy? Thanks for having me.
No, man, it's a pleasure to have you, man. So many questions to ask you, man.
Please shoot away. It's Friday.
It's Friday. Let's have a good time. Let's just relax and just have a good conversation. So, one, dude, congratulations. You're about to have a baby. How's that feeling?
The good thing is that I remember when you and I were having the conversation a little over 9 months ago. We're like, yeah, man, we got to get on this bandwagon. And I said, hey, I'm pregnant. And you're like, dude, I'm pregnant too. So we've kind of ridden the journey together.
Yeah, dude, it's super fun. That was funny. Like, dude, I got to get better. I got to get healthier.
Exactly.
Like, dude, I'm trying to have a baby. I was like, dude, so am I. Next thing you know, we're both pregnant.
Bam. Exactly.
So
like we were talking earlier, Amazon's delivering packages of stuff every day.
Don't even get me started on Amazon and these packages and ordering every day. But you need 68 onesies. No, we don't, bro.
Yes, absolutely. And then organic everything, and you know how that goes.
Yeah, well, anything that they want to be happy right now, because
it's all you. I mean,
I just want to keep stability and happiness.
Like I always say, I have the last word. It's yes, honey.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. So Gentera Medical. I don't want to plug it. What I want to talk about is let's talk about the wellness aspect of Gentera, right? So there's a couple of things I want to really move towards, but let's talk about entrepreneurship. Okay. So we've met. And you told me I just started Gentera a couple of years ago in
Miami Beach.
In Miami Beach. Hotspot, of course, right? And then you scaled that and you opened...
In Los Angeles was our second one.
Okay.
And then now subsequently, we're at the 2.5 year mark now. Our third location was obviously after running into you, seeing what a great job you guys had done here, scaling yourselves. We figured that it was a synergistic business relationship, so we were able to find a location within the compound and bringing what we do, complementing it with what FTX does, and helping people feel better about themselves.
That's all I think. We do make a great partnership, as when I speak with FTX and Gentera. And then we got some more coming up, right?
So now that we got this is where we go big or go home, and that's my motto. So on two fronts, and I think Miami and Beverly Hills are really the two biggest meccas of wellness and health. Obviously exterior, but also interior. And so we were setting up our showroom in Coral Gables, actually. So in an iconic building in Coral Gables, 550 Biltmore. It's known as the building with the lions. We're going to have 8,000 square feet down there, 4 operating rooms, and really bridging the gap between regenerative medicine and cosmetic surgery, right? So, and then what does that entail? Well, it's really a mix of, everything regenerative from IV nutrition, hormone replacement, stem cell therapy. And it's not just about grabbing something and it's really understanding, for instance, like with you, Octavio, we had to understand what are your goals? Where are you at today? So, and personalizing the treatment to you, because we're all so used to going in the past, first of all, waiting until there's something wrong with us to go to the doctor. Right. So that we're trying to educate. So as pioneers in the business, first thing we have to do is educate. And I came to this, remember, I'm not a medical practitioner. I am like I said, not only the president, I'm also a member. I came into this because I saw the benefits of cell-based therapy. I saw how stem cells had helped me get back on the basketball court when I was 35 and I felt already like I was 50. And so I've wanted to bring that to other people. I knew how good I felt. I wanted other people to really experience that. And I was surprised how few people really even knew what cell-based therapy, stem cells, what they were. Thought, oh, are you killing babies? What's going on here? Right. So, and as a pioneer, you know it because you've tackled it on your side. You really have to educate. So one of the big components that we do is the educational component and getting into the market. Simultaneously, we're moving our LA location to Beverly Hills. We got an amazing location out there. A couple blocks off Rodeo Drive. They totally get it out there. We have an amazing team of doctors with different specialties, and that's really what we try to focus, is bringing in the different doctors with different specialties so that when you come in, you get the most comprehensive and personalized approach.
Nice. But, all right, so there's a big thing that I know that I've heard or felt, that the HRT market, right? So hormone replacement therapy. It's so vast, right? The topic is like, oh man, that's where people go get testosterone. And I hate that because it has nothing to do with it, really. It's about seeing what deficiencies you have, and just let's go into that a little bit.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, the field of hormone replacement or hormone optimization got a bad stigma because of what we've heard from professional sports and a lot of the issues of, substance abuse, primarily, and the confusion with hormones and steroids, right? And the biggest issue is that all this steroids or performance enhancement drugs that you saw come in are all synthetic type stuff. The difference here is this is bioidentical hormone replacement, and it's really meant to mimic what the different hormones, which is not just limited to testosterone. And the idea of if you're prescribed, if testosterone is necessary, because it's necessary for everybody, and it's not to overdo it. Like, we're not trying to be, because there's symptoms. Everything in excess is bad. So we will take your blood work. We will understand where your deficiencies are, and we will put you on a personalized, like I mentioned earlier, regimen that may include testosterone, but it may include also a litany of other supplements, different hormones, and collectively, they're meant to help to optimize you to a point where your body returns to homeostasis. Because, you don't want to say, oh, I feel great for someone that's, 45. Well, hey, what if I want to feel great with someone that's 30 or 35? And that's kind of the idea.
Right. So I think that's a big topic, because especially lately, because everybody's like, oh man, you're getting steroids. No, it's not. Like,
another misnomer.
Exactly. So I have a lot of clients here that, are 60 plus, and they're always in pain, or they just got out of surgery. And they're like, okay, so what do we do? I was like, dude, you know what? Go to Gentera, go check it out. Because there's a lot of things going on that you may not know about it. Just like that stigma that we don't go to doctors until you're sick. And then it's too late. So we're just trying to get back to that path of feeling better, especially with men, right? So let's talk about testosterone, because that's the topic, right? Let's talk about it.
Low T.
Low T, and how 25-year-olds now are finding themselves with no T.
Right, and I think we've seen that historically. I mean, if you look back at the historical levels from the moment they started kind of charting testosterone, it's really kind of falling off the cliff in terms of what the average testosterone is for men. And that's extremely concerning, because the question is why? Why is it happening? Is it diet related? Is it environment related? Is it all these plastics that we're seeing in the water that, as they get into our system, become an estrogen promoter, which obviously inhibits testosterone? And the answer is, I think it's a part of all of them. And so I think the issue is down at the cellular level, where our cells are just being bombarded or intoxicated with all of this negative, these poisons from around us, like I said, food, environment, water, medication, the amount of drugs that were being prescribed. So then, first thing I think we have to do is get into a cellular detox. So, right, because if my cells are doing this, there's no way they're going to be able to hear even the good stuff that's trying to come in.
Right.
And so we'll try to first detox you at the cellular level, clean things out before we stack you onto any sort of treatment, because in time, even the best treatment won't take effect if your body's not going to listen.
Well, that's basically open-mindedness to anything, right? So not only mind, but body as well will follow.
Correct.
Okay, that's good. All right, so let's talk about being an entrepreneur, man. So you're from Miami.
Yep. Born and raised.
We went to different schools.
Could we bring up the Columbus Belen thing again? Or is it not a really time? No, we're not going to talk about that 41-7. No.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, just kidding. Can we cut that part out?
Sure, no worries. Nice.
I didn't mean to throw you off. Sorry.
No, it's good, because it opens up so many more doors.
Yes.
Right. So now that we're getting personal, let's talk about all the troubles and tribulations you have as an entrepreneur. Because I think most people nowadays, especially with social media and everything else, everybody wants to do it on their own, right? Everybody wants to do some e-commerce here. Everybody's trying to make it big. Mm-hmm. And they have no idea what it is. Oh, like, I want to be your own boss. And I know for myself, there's no way I could ever work for anybody, hopefully.
Right.
If the God permits, I will never have to. But the 9 to 5 thing for me doesn't really work, right? I'm addicted to what I do. I love what I do, and I'm passionate about it. Just as you're passionate about Gentera. Like, you're always at every opening. You're in the minutia. But a lot of people don't see it that way. People are like, oh, I'm just going to start off and everything's going to be easy. You know, like, let's talk about never making overhead sometimes, right? So, guess what? Right? So you've got to certain levels. Like, you're at a level far beyond what I've hit. So I want to talk about that. Like, how did you get to, you know, you started at South Beach a little bit, a little Sobe boutique.
Right.
Figure out processes and systems, and then what kind of roadblocks did you hit? What did you see? What did you go back and say, hey, this isn't working, let's do this? Then you start scaling. And now it's, I can imagine with 3 FTXs. I mean, I have enough with 1, right? So let's talk about that.
Well, I think you could fit all of mine into one FTX.
Yeah. different methods, right? But let's talk about that, because I'm pretty sure you didn't start as a cosmetic surgeon.
No.
Right? And that's I want to talk about the journey. Let's talk about the journey of being an entrepreneur. How did, you know, you said you started with the knee thing.
Right.
And then it just evolved, right? So let's talk about the story.
So I think you touched on it well, which is, I think it's a combination of passion, you know, work ethic, and leadership, right? Because everyone has some sort of passion, right? But it's how do you convert that passion into an effective, you know, into a business model. And then from there, you can have a great one-man business, but unless you're selling widgets on Amazon, you're going to need to be able to lead people and be able to get, you know, depending on the backgrounds, but they all have to subscribe to the lifestyle. We don't all have to be friends. We don't all have to think the same way. But when it comes to our business, when it comes to regenerative medicine, they're all in the same boat. They want to feel better about themselves, and they want our patients to feel better about themselves. Right. So slowly, and look, the hardest part of my job is managing personnel. I could tell you that, because, and I guess it's like managing, you know, or coaching a basketball team or a good sports team. The difference between, sometimes you'll see a roster from top to bottom and you'll say, wow, man, that team is stacked. Why aren't they winning? And they come together, and they got to play together. They have to have chemistry. They got to back each other up. And that's kind of what I've been doing, building the team one piece at a time. So I felt when we had, once the business was started, and yeah, we're running and we're bringing in the patients, you know, slowly from word of mouth from our network, then it's adding, you know, that next, you know, person, the next person, and the next person that exude this, you know, this lifestyle. And the patients, they know it. They feel it. They feel valued. I teach all of our practitioners, because like I said, I'm not a practitioner, but I do know a little thing about people. And that's what we're in the people business. Yeah, absolutely. We're just bringing, you know, the health component to the business. So it's listen. Before you come in here, you know, traditional medicine, they're there with a script because they don't got time to listen to you. So they're there with the script waiting. What's wrong? Oh, head again. Here's your script and go. No, sit down and take all the time that you need. Explain and then once I understand really what their goals are, what they need, then we go off and we tell them what do we have, you know, for them. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I've been fortunate enough that in time, and you don't get it right the first time because it's just not the way it is when there's people involved. And then as you get bigger, the dynamics start to change. But I basically made, it doesn't matter if you're in California, Miami, you know, wherever, everybody has to be on the same page, and we're all playing for the same team. Right. And I think that's important, because otherwise, like you said, the pitfalls is you risk, you know, one team pulling one more, or well, why aren't you helping California? Or why aren't you doing this? Or why aren't you doing that? And I can't be at all places at once. But if I have good leaders and I empower them, then they will push the message down, and that's what allows us to continue to expand.
All right. So let's talk about the hardest thing you've learned as an entrepreneur, besides team leadership, right? You're a control freak. We know this, right? Because I'm a control freak, and we relate to each other very, very well. So delegation. How hard has it been to like find or like sleep at night saying, all right, you know what? It's out of my control.
And it's extremely difficult until you find the person or people that you see, and it happens in time. I'm not just going to hand over the keys, you know, to my baby's room if you just walk through the door. Right. But in time, you know, hopefully if I've done a good job, and I think onboarding is a big part, and that's something that goes, I think, under the radar a lot, where it's not just putting out and hiring people, right, or bringing them on. It's how do you onboard them? from day one, are you instilling the vision, the mission, where the company's going? Are you excited about what you're doing? And then passing that on because, hey, they see it and they want to come on and live, start living that as well.
Right.
So I would say that it's, other than the personnel component, and it's also learning to navigate the medical field. Because of course, if I could have picked a business, which is the one that has the most regulation, the most things that you have to do, and that you can't do yourself. Medicine, great. Let me get into that. And
I feel your pain.
And that's what happened. But although everyone, and this is the thing, and I think Gary Vee posted a cool thing the other day on where change the people that you're listening to, right? So you have one guy digging a hole and then one guy over one side saying, hey man, stop digging, you're never going to get there. But then you have the other guy saying, keep going, you're almost there. And the more I've listened to those type of people, the more I've been able to push through because there's days that you got payroll coming tomorrow, especially early on, and you're like, oh my God, but and somehow I'll still
half of it in the bank.
I'll still through it. You bring it down. Of course, you pay yourself last or not at all, but that's how it is, and it's understanding that. And people just see, and because of the social media and the constant amount of input that we're getting, they only see the end result.
They never see the
struggle.
struggle.
They don't see you in the gym breaking your tail every day. They say, man, look at Octavio. Look how lucky he is. Look how good he's done for himself. No, they don't see how many hours you put here. You're the first one that you get here, last one to leave. And how you do whatever, it's not just working in the business, it's working on the business. Yes, at some point, obviously Jeff Bezos can now get in and call his shipment man, hey, what happened? Why are these 3 packages got... But that's a whole another scale. That comes in time. So it's knowing when to transition from in to on.
Right.
And we're in the process.
Constantly. We're always getting in. The process between working in and on is the never-ending battle, right? Of basically where you're at, how much you're selling a year, and where you want to go. Where do you see, if you could go back 2.5 years, what would you tell yourself before you became that entrepreneur, medical entrepreneur?
Wow, that's a great question.
You're like, don't do it.
No, I would say read another 3 books on patience and determination because there's just been a lot of times like did I make the right decision? And there's days early on, especially when you got no one coming through the door, you're like, damn, that's just and then keep working and tweaking and the marketing strategy and how do you get the heads through the door. All these things, but as the message starts to go and there's no better testimonial than someone that you've really made them feel better about themselves.
Right. That makes your day every time.
That makes our day every time. And I think that now we're just a collaboration of all the people that we've made better and now it becomes an exponential. And I think that's what's helped us scale a little faster.
All right. So the other thing that I was talking about, I read something actually in the Man Up book I'm reading by Bedros, is the 40-70 rule. Have you heard it? So you need only 40% to make a decision, but no more than 70, because if you wait till you get more than 70% of the information over that topic, it would be too late.
Too late.
Or you're overthinking it. So, and in the beginning of this podcast, you actually mentioned go hard or go home, and it's speed. Everybody's talking about speed of scale.
Blitzscaling.
Yeah. So now, is that what you're following, or?
Well, so there's blitzscaling on 2 fronts. On the brick and mortar, at a certain point soon, it will become, as an owner-operated, it becomes a little too unwieldy to have to manage all your own clinics after a certain point. Which I think that then the next part of the scaling part is the franchising or the licensing, which that does entail for a blitzscale component. But then separately, since we also manufacture, we're getting into the manufacturing arm of the cell-based. I see I have my finger on the pulse very good. I see where the market's going. And I know that there I have to move very quickly because science is moving very quick. And with the amount of people that are now turned on to this type of therapy, regenerative medicine and cell-based therapy, stem cells, exosomes, nationwide, then the dollars are starting to pour in. And I'm either going to be a potential there for an investment in an acquisition, or I'm going to get run over. And only time will tell on how effectively I could scale.
Well, that's where we're all going, right? So my vision isn't having 100 FDXs. I have no interest in that. So Gentera, 3 years from now, where do you see it?
Well, I see.
What's the vision?
The vision is, I'd like to be in a few more cornerstone markets. We're looking at Chicago now. That could hopefully develop sooner than later. And if one of these things, same thing, opportunity landed on our lap. New York is a logical next step as well. And I think once I hit those 5, maybe a couple other, I think I'll be content with that, because that means how many patients am I seeing at one times X. And then especially if I'm pushing our cell-based products through these showrooms. So think of the Apple or the Tesla model, right? Where I have the factory, but I also have the showrooms.
Yeah,
and that's kind of my vision. But where I really see the growth would be on the B2B, because I could only treat so many people at so many clinics. I can't open enough clinics to treat as many of the people as I'd want to. Like, I'm so excited about this. How can I get it to more people quicker? The only way to do that is to then go to the doctors, go to the clinics, go to the hospitals, go to the the NFL, the different sports agencies, and bring this out on a bigger scale and push it out through those. And that's why we're engaging now to potentially start with the FDA on an RMAT, which it's an RMAT. It's just 21st Century Act that I think Obama passed to be able to fast track regenerative therapies through the FDA process, which sometimes can take a lot of time and a lot of money. So anything that's showing safety and efficacy early could potentially get fast tracked, and we're hoping to push in that direction, because that will really allow me to reach my vision and my goal of getting as many people this stuff as possible.
So I'm going to put an example for me. So I had a huge shoulder surgery I told you about. And then because a lot of people don't know that there's a lot of medicine that can help get healthier faster.
Yep.
Right? Especially, so I was 40 when I got this surgery, and it devastated me. Like, I couldn't work out.
I know the feeling.
All right, you can't do that. And I was like, man, I wish I would have met you 6 months ago, dude, because I would be able to do a lot more things,
right.
And I think that's where, let me restate that. Medicine is amazing, right? So penicillin changed the world, a whole bunch of things, sickness, everything. And this is medicine. It's what it is. It's trying to keep healthier and see what the unbalances are going through, right? So women go through it. It's not just menopause. It's a lot of hormonal imbalance.
And we're going through a phase right now.
Yeah. So, but, you can help them with anything now, but after postpartum, there's a lot of things that they can do, correct? And then gentlemen from the age of whatever, actually, if they're just not balanced, you could get them there, right?
Correct.
And I read something very, very interesting the other day that said, was it 70 or 80, between 70 and 80% of all humans are dehydrated in some way, shape, or form.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yep.
And that's where the whole concept of the IV drip, not just for hangovers, right? Because
same thing. I had the stigma of a hangover, or that you're in a hospital sick getting in.
Correct. So let's talk about that, because when I went to Vegas, I saw the hangover cure that they would actually have an IV taken to your room if you want.
Right.
That's a concierge service.
Right.
But now there's so after you read that 70 to 80% of the world's population is dehydrated. IV therapy just should be required for everybody, or it should be accessible at some point. Right. But, and if you add, I add B12, I add glutathione, I have all sorts of that.
Right, and the perfect thing, I think, is that in your case, same thing, since we ran, we know what Octavio's deficiencies are, but Octavio, Brian, and Vance deficiencies are different. And then every person should be able to have kind of their customized, it's like when you go to the restaurant, you want to order what you want to order. Same thing here. And this is based on what your body is needing. And of course, all those nutrients go in with fluid. And depending on the
they're absorbed faster.
And they're absorbed. And because whenever you bypass the gut, you're getting, in essence, 100% absorption, right, of that, of what you're putting in. Because the gut, usually, if you have any sort of gut issues, you're not going to be able to get those nutrients absorbed.
Which leads us into the supplementation part. All right, so let's talk about supplementation and the supplement market, how everybody has their own line, right, and how they're getting into it. They saw it was a boom. But now, if you really look at it, how much do you absorb from every supplement, or why? Or it's simple science, right? So,
yeah, and different people look. 70% of our immune system 80% of our immune system is in our gut. So that microbiome health. So most of the things we're going to attack like I said, we do the cellular toxicity part, then we go to gut health. Why? Because if there's anything off in your gut health, then same thing, you're not going to be able to be benefiting from a lot of the other treatments that are higher up on the list, right? So once we've addressed the gut and we make sure you're absorbing, and that's why you're seeing all these people with IBS and GERD and reflux and all this. Yeah, it's a same thing. Diet, all these processed foods that are just super antibiotics. Antibiotics will crush the probiotics or the healthy bacteria that lives in our gut. And we've been so conditioned, and yes, penicillin did change it positively. Unfortunately, our society has gone to the other extreme where now we're taking antibiotics for everything.
And letting the body actually...
Exactly. And the body's an amazing, amazing machine. It gives you pretty much everything you need to heal itself. And we have been ignoring that. And now we're starting to see, wow, those stem cells, now then it leads to something else. And gene therapy, wow, so you mean if we could turn this on, we could turn this off, all of a sudden now you're not, you may turn off a can. Yeah, guess what? That's all coming soon. It's all in the works. And we're pushing, we're on the forefront of that.
And I love that because it's basically, it's basically body or machine optimization, right? And I think the mind, we always got to keep studying, we always got to keep evolving. I always say it here that a person needs to evolve every day and keep getting better. But it's not only your mind, study, faith, whatever it is for you, but also internally. Right? And I think we've left that because, so as a coach, I can make you bigger, faster, better. But what about the recovery side of that? What about the health? What about, are you absorbing everything you're eating? You got to eat right, but you got to rest. And that's another thing, right? So I was told the other day, oh, man, you're not resting enough. All right? Or you're not repairing fast enough. How do we do it? It's just rest. Stress today.
Major killer.
So let's talk about stress. What does it do? Like, what have you seen in your experience in, being part of Gentera, what stress does to the human body?
Well, I mean, a lot of these issues that we see arriving, throwing off our guts are some of them are stress derived, chronic conditions, stress derived. When we run, there's a couple factors when we run our blood panel that can kind of tip off stress. One of them is cortisol. Usually our cortisol levels are the highest in the mornings. So we see, which is kind of put on by our adrenal glands. So it's that fight or flight. So the more our adrenals are working, shooting adrenaline, and all, our cortisol levels are going up. If we're constantly getting input from everywhere, right, we're taxing our system. Our system doesn't know when to shut off. We go to sleep and we have this phone next to us that's there with the blue light and all these notifications hitting us during the day. How long are you in between a moment of peace? That's why on my Apple Watch, I force myself to breathe. Stop and just breathe. Take a minute of your day to breathe, because that could be sufficient to lowering your stress levels, and the accumulation effect of that will be beneficial. And unfortunately, sometimes we don't see it until it's too late, and so we have all these chronic inflammatory conditions, whether it's Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, cancers, and then what? And then we're reacting again. So now at our age, let's get into the proactive game. Let's run our panels. Let's see where we could be genetically disposed. Because look, we're all dealt a hand of cards, which is our genes, right? But let's play them the best way we can possible. And soon we'll even be able to maybe even change our hands by doing some gene editing. And those are all the things you're hearing out there with like CRISPR and some of these genes, which is amazing. So I'm very excited that I've embarked on this. So I guess if it was easy, more people would be doing it. So I'm glad that a lot of people think that I was crazy. But soon most of those people...
What do you say to your haters? Or all the people that are like, man, Brian's crazy going into this kind of market.
Right.
What
does he know? He's not a doctor.
What does he know? He's not a doctor, right? So, like, what would you love to say about any new entrepreneur? Like you said, you're digging a hole. Right? I'm a firm believer that you become the 5 people you're closest to. Right? You are. Mm-hmm. You will hang. And my mom said it in Spanish all the time. My dad used to say it. You tell me who your friends are, and I'll tell you exactly who you are, right? So what would you say to the naysayers or the haters or the people that just play it safe all the time?
Well, I think, listen, if you don't, what did Gretzky say, right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I was tired of just going after the next best job, the next promotion, the next opportunity, and growing for the sake of dollars. And I was turning 40, and I said, I want to do something that I'm passionate about, something that is not, I'm not chasing it because of the money. Sure, we have to make a living, and the money will come on its own because it's a business, and if you have a successful business. But I want to do something that I'm passionate. I get up every day saying, who could I help today? As I know you do. And I think that's, and in my attitude, so I'm not telling these naysayers anything. I'm showing them every single day.
Love it. Purpose driven.
Yeah.
All right. So as an entrepreneur, give me something you do or you've got it into the routine of doing that keeps your mind sharp and focused on your purpose, because that's something that I feel like everybody's moving towards or says they're doing, but as a business owner, we all know that time is taken from you,
right,
all the time,
right. And I think it's filtering the noise, and that's what I battle with the most, because everyone has a great opportunity that they want to run by you. Listen, you got to hear this, all right? You got to try this new technology, or you got to this new medication, and if I sat there and took all of those and really weighed them out, or imagine you said the 40-70, right? So forget that 10 on all of these. I'm out of time, so I have to constantly every day be filtering and make sure that I get the top 5 things that I need to do that day, done, accomplished, further along to an action item, so that then I could continue to move on. And I'll carve out myself because I'm always innovating. I'm always looking at what's out there, but I can't take each one of those and see it all the way through if I'm not taking care of my core business. So as long as my core business is covered and I'm growing it that way, then I could continue to look for, the other, bring in a couple, working in a couple of new ideas. So it's filter the noise.
So how do you do it?
And it's self-talk. In other words, I'm always talking to myself. Did you take care of this? Right. I have my list, my to-dos, every day.
I have my to-do list every day.
Which I check them off. I'll tell my team, hey, remind me that these are the things we have to do. Stick to your calendar. And whenever you're doing, I read it's a good book. It's called the Pomodoro Principle, which is, whenever whatever the formula you want to use, but whenever you're set to doing, let's say, whether it's an admin task, you turn your phone down, no answering emails, don't pick up the phone.
Focus on that task.
Just focus on that, get that done. Then you get up, you take a 5-10 minute break, which can entail anything, searching the internet, Instagram, whatever. But it's just focusing on the task at hand, and that's a physical way to filter the noise.
Okay.
So shut off all the external notifications.
Okay, I like that. Speaking of notifications, where are you heading, like marketing? Since you guys are all like medical and seeing where you're limited, what you can do, and how you could sell and stuff like that. So it gets kind of tricky.
It does,
right? It does. So you need I'm not a marketing whiz. You're not a marketing whiz. But we always have to keep on innovating and showing how we could generate new leads and stuff like that. How do you surround yourself? Like, what are the key traits you surround yourself to have the right team, right? And it's all trial and error, because
never one and done.
Huh? It's never. I haven't hit a grand slam yet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes like, oh man, dude, we were in a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and you're like, dude, everybody promised me the world, and I don't even get a hit.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard to filter out the noise, filter all the crap, all the bullshit. And then you're just like, okay, how do I make sure? Because I know you have a couple of rock stars on your staff that you trust blindly, right? And I have those rock stars too, but sometimes I'm like, damn, how did I swing so hard with this one and I miss it? So how are you evolving into that kind of market, especially with influencers and stuff like that, and then moving towards medical facts, because you are a scientific, medically based, results-driven industry.
Right.
So it's very tricky, right?
It is. And I think the dynamic's always changing, so you have to be cognizant of multiple things. Like I said, it's not just, I sold X today, I got to sell X plus tomorrow.
Yeah, we're not
I got to keep track of my regulatory environment. I have to keep track of, changes in local laws on different practices, protocols. Make sure that all credentials are up. So there's such an administrative component. The dynamics always changing. I mean, there's laws being hit because it's medicine, and it's a bit, you have people's lives in your hands. So I totally get that part of it, but it's really taxing. So you have to have good compliance people and hiring. So to answer from the marketing side, there's also a lot of things you can say, a lot of practices you can engage in because they look upon it so carefully to make sure you're not being deceptive or you're not promising cures or anything like that, right? So on our point is kind of finding the good mix and being that was my biggest weakness. I didn't know a lot about digital and then SEO and SEM and pay-per-click and all, and this just ended up making me buy more Excedrin. So I've really had to educate myself further, just like I did initially in the medical field. So if I know all aspects of the business, it makes it that much more difficult for you to BS me. I don't need to know, more than 50%. I don't have to be a subject matter expert,
right? But
I have to know enough, and then to bring those people in that could, speak the same language and make sure that they're making the changes. So we're doing a mix of pay-per-click. We're doing improving all of our social media, running more ads in the social media campaign, trying to put on more local events, reaching out to the community, finding the right influencer. I think now everybody wants to be an influencer.
Everybody is an influencer.
Everybody's an influencer, but what we've seen is that usually the best influencers are the ones who engage the most, are the ones that, like you said, are in your circles. And if you penetrate those initially, and then they penetrate to their next, there you go.
My whole thing is that we didn't spend $1 in marketing for 2 years, maybe almost 3, because we just lived and survived by word of mouth. Right. And that's we went old school. If one client is happy, and they will tell 2 more clients, and so on and so forth. But now we're at the point where you guys, just like we are, there's gyms popping up miles away, half a mile away, 2 miles away, promising the world, and it's the same thing. Just like 5 years ago, you didn't see regenerative medicine at all, and now you see them at every corner. There's you can even call them to go to your house. It's ridiculous, right? So how do you stay above and beyond?
And I think it goes back also to the education. Like, oh, I saw this clinic that they promote hormones. You just got to do this, and then same thing. A lot of these places have come into it because chasing the dollar, and at the reality, they're missing the concept of really what regenerative medicine is.
Right.
And as long as we don't lose sight of that, they in time will crack. Because they won't be able to sustain a model. They'll only be able to get people better for so long on one parameter. But if you're not attacking it as a whole, then those that are will surpass you. And that's why I'm staying true to what we embarked on.
That's fantastic, and I love it. So I'm going to ask you probably the hardest question I've ever asked you. If you could summarize what your daughter is going to say about you in 20 years, what would it be? What do you want it to be?
It's funny because I ask a similar question when I interview. So what I would want it to be is hopefully what it is, and that's first of all that my dad was an honest man, or is. Hopefully he won't be speaking about me in the past tense, although I'll be in my 60s by then, right?
Yeah.
But I think honest has a lot of integrity and has helped a lot of people feel good. And you know what? And he's a pretty fun guy to be with.
Pretty fun guy,
even though he's 65.
We're going to be the old dads, aren't we?
Yeah. But having a lot of fun.
But we'll be healthy.
And in turn, we'll be a lot younger than most.
Yeah, and that's, we want to be part of their lives, man. I want to be able to just, I play ball with my dad. Yeah. My dad passed away at 62. Just super young.
Super young.
Right? Super young. And I don't want to do that. I want to be there for, my kids. And we started late, so what?
Yeah, but it's the decisions you make today to improve your lifestyle.
My quality and lifestyle and everything.
Yeah, anything could happen, right? But you're improving the chances.
Exactly. If I could just improve it 2-3%, so staying healthier longer, why not?
Because look, as the way science is going, we're all going to live longer. But it's not about living longer. It's about living longer better.
Right. I'm about quality.
And if we push lifespan from 78 or 80 to 90 to 100, what the hell are you going to do with those 20 years? If all your bones are hurt, you got arthritis, there's nothing to do. So our goal is to keep pushing to make sure that the lifestyle, the quality of life is improved longer. Because otherwise, you know what? You're the keys. I'm done. If I can't control, if I can't be enjoying my life proactively and actively, then is it really, do I have a quality of life? Do I just want to keep the heart monitor on? Or do I want to keep the disco?
I want to live life.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm, busting my ass working and trying to keep healthy as much as I can for as long as I can. Right.
Right.
All right. So if people want to follow you or look up Gentera Med, where do you want them to look?
So on IG, it's at Gentera Med, and then they could give us a call. Obviously, our phone number, our main phone number is 305-424-5775, and our website is genteramedmed.com.
There you go, Gentera Med. Check them out.
Thank you so much.
I feel fantastic lately, and I told you this, man. Been with you guys for 6 months now, 8 months.
But you're also a good patient.
Oh, I listen.
Patient compliance is very important.
Yeah, I actually do listen, which is funny because I was slow, lethargic, angry, and I was all messed up, man. So I really appreciate what you guys have done, and I'm looking forward to the future with Gentera Med. So
awesome,
Brian. Thanks a lot for spending your time, and especially a Friday, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, let's go get some tacos. Later, buddy.